What if I told you that money doesn't come by luck, chance, or fate, but by law? A precise, unchanging, invisible law that governs wealth just as surely as gravity governs the earth. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to attract money effortlessly, while others struggle no matter how hard they try, the answer is not hidden in fortune, it's found in consciousness. The law of supply is an invisible yet precise force that governs the flow of money, just as the law of gravity governs the fall of an apple from a tree. There is nothing random about money. It moves, circulates, and accumulates according to an unchanging principle that responds to the consciousness of each individual. We are conditioned to believe that some people are just lucky, born into wealth, or favored by mysterious fortune, but that belief itself is an error of understanding. The truth is that money, like all forms of good, is subject to a spiritual law that operates silently but with perfect accuracy. This law responds not to accidents, chances, or mere desires, but to the prevailing mental patterns and spoken words of each soul. When a person holds in their mind the thought of supply, when they truly believe that the universe is rich and that they have a rightful share in this abundance, they align with the law of supply. This alignment is not dependent on external conditions or visible means. It does not matter if their current bank balance is low or if their surroundings appear barren. The law is not limited by what the physical eyes can see. Instead, it is activated by the inner certainty that the substance of the universe is limitless, ever available, and awaiting direction through thought, word, and faith. Money is substance in motion. It is a current of energy that is either drawn to us or repelled by us, depending on the frequency we sustain in our consciousness. When we think lack, speak of shortage, or fear financial ruin, we emit a signal that says to the universe, "Keep away from me, for I believe in poverty." The law does not judge whether this belief is good or bad. It simply fulfills the command embedded in that belief. Therefore, those who constantly complain of not having enough, or who view money as difficult to obtain, will find their words becoming their reality. The law cannot bring abundance to a mind closed by limitation. On the other hand, the individual who lives with the unwavering conviction that supply is theirs by divine right, who speaks with confidence about wealth, and who expects prosperity as naturally as day follows night, sets into motion forces that must bring financial increase. It is not a matter of working harder or chasing after money, though diligent work has its place. Instead, it is a matter of establishing in the depths of the mind the idea that wealth is natural, that it is circulating abundantly, and that one is open and receptive to it. This openness must be genuine, not a surface wish. It must be a deep inner knowing, a settled state of faith that the law of supply is active and unfailing. Many people unknowingly misuse this law. They observe their empty pockets or unpaid bills and conclude that scarcity is their fate. In truth, they are creating that fate by continuing to affirm lack through their thoughts, emotions, and words. The law does not care about appearances. It responds only to the vibrational message sent out by the individual. If the message is one of fear, worry, or self-pity, the law will match that message with corresponding experiences of financial struggle. But if the message is one of gratitude for supply already on its way, of confident expectation, and of fearless declarations of abundance, then money must flow accordingly. This is why it is said that wealth begins in the mind. The bank account is merely a reflection of the inner account held in consciousness. If one wishes to change their outer circumstances, they must first deposit thoughts of wealth, affirmations of prosperity, and visions of abundance into the vault of their mind. Over time, these deposits accumulate and yield a harvest of financial manifestation. The universe is inexhaustible in its wealth, but each person taps into it only to the degree that they believe in and expect that wealth. There is no favoritism in this law. It does not bless one person over another based on social status, education, or background. It operates impartially, much like a mirror that reflects whatever is placed before it. Place before the mirror of the law the image of wealth, and wealth is reflected back. Place before it the image of poverty, and poverty returns the gaze. Therefore, understanding the law of supply is the key to unlocking financial freedom, for it teaches us that money is never random. It is always the effect of the cause we have set in motion within ourselves. The power of the word is the most potent and creative force that a human being possesses. Words are not idle sounds that evaporate into nothingness. They are living seeds carrying within them the essence of what we believe and expect. Every word spoken is a decree, a command issued to the invisible forces that shape our reality. When it comes to money, the words we speak about wealth, abundance, and prosperity either open the gates of financial flow or seal them shut. Most people speak carelessly about money, unaware that their habitual expressions are constantly creating their financial circumstances. Statements like "money doesn't grow on trees," "I can't afford that," or "I'm always broke," are not just expressions of frustration, they are declarations to the universe, affirming scarcity and lack as if these were immutable facts. The law that governs money responds directly to the vibration of our words. Words are sound in motion, and every sound carries a frequency. When we speak of wealth with certainty, joy, and gratitude, we emit a frequency that aligns with abundance. Conversely, when we speak with fear, doubt, or contempt about money, we tune ourselves to the frequency of lack. The universe, being impartial, simply reflects back to us what we project through our words. It is as though we are constantly dictating instructions to an ever-listening creative power, and this power never questions our intent, it simply obeys. This is why people who often speak of wealth, success, and limitless opportunities tend to experience more of these things in their lives. Their words form a mold that substance must fill. If they declare "money comes to me easily and frequently," the law must fulfill that word by organizing circumstances, opportunities, and connections that allow money to flow into their experience. But this principle works just as faithfully in the opposite direction. Those who habitually say, "I'll never get ahead," "money slips through my fingers," or "I can't catch a break," are programming their reality to match those very outcomes. They do not realize that they are sabotaging themselves not by chance, but by their own spoken word. The word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Our thoughts may be private, but once they are spoken aloud, they take on added power, becoming creative decrees that activate the law. This is why affirmations, when spoken regularly and with conviction, have the power to transform financial conditions. An affirmation such as "I am aligned with the abundant riches of the universe" is not mere wishful thinking. It is a directive issued to the subconscious mind and to the universal substance, commanding it to reorganize reality in accordance with that declared truth. Over time, the subconscious accepts this new pattern, and the law of supply begins to respond. It is also important to recognize that casual or negative jokes about money carry the same creative weight. Laughing off financial struggles with sarcastic remarks like "I'm always poor" or "I'll never be rich in this lifetime" might seem harmless, but the universe does not understand humor or sarcasm. It understands frequency, vibration, and the conviction behind words. Every time such statements are uttered, they reinforce a belief system of limitation and scarcity, making it even harder for prosperity to find its way to the individual. Furthermore, the consistency of our words matters deeply. One cannot speak affirmatively about wealth in the morning and then grumble about bills in the afternoon without confusing the creative forces at play. Such inconsistency dilutes the power of the word. To harness its full potential, one must maintain a steady, unwavering verbal stance on prosperity. Speak wealth, expect wealth, and refuse to utter words that contradict the abundance you seek to experience. The word is also charged with the emotional energy behind it. A mechanical recitation of positive statements will have little effect if it is not infused with genuine feeling. Emotion is the fuel that propels the word into creative manifestation. Speaking with joy, gratitude, and conviction magnifies the vibrational power of the words. Therefore, when you declare that money flows to you effortlessly, let your tone be one of certainty and delight, as though the reality of that statement is already visible in your life. The spoken word is a tool of mastery. Those who understand its power treat their words with reverence and precision. They do not speak of what they do not want, for they know that every word is a prophecy. They speak as creators, declaring the wealth, freedom, and abundance that is their rightful inheritance. By doing so, they align with the universal law that governs money, ensuring that their financial reality is not left to chance, but is shaped by the deliberate, conscious use of the most powerful instrument they possess, their word. To attract wealth, one must think and feel abundant, because money is not just paper, coins, or numbers on a screen. It is energy, and energy responds to vibration. Everything in this universe operates on frequency. Just as a radio must be tuned to the correct station to receive a clear signal, so must a person's mind and emotional state be tuned to the frequency of abundance to receive the wealth they desire. This is not mere poetic metaphor, but a spiritual truth that governs the flow of all good things, including money. Many people mistakenly believe that they can wish for wealth while still harboring feelings of lack, worry, or unworthiness. Yet the law is precise: you cannot attract what you are not in harmony with internally. The vibration of wealth is a mental and emotional state that resonates with the reality of having more than enough. When you think thoughts of plenty, imagine yourself surrounded by riches, and feel the joy and gratitude of having all your needs met. You emit a frequency that matches the energy of abundance. The universe, responding to that frequency, begins to arrange circumstances, opportunities, and channels through which money can flow to you. It does not always come in the way you expect, but it must respond because the law of vibration is impersonal and exact. The challenge most people face is that they try to attract wealth while remaining steeped in feelings of lack. They say affirmations, but deep down they feel anxious about their finances. They visualize success but immediately doubt their worthiness to receive it. This inner contradiction cancels out their efforts because the universe responds not to the superficial act of visualization or verbal affirmation alone, but to the dominant vibration one holds consistently. If the dominant vibration is fear of poverty, that is the message being sent out, regardless of what is being spoken on the surface. To truly align with the vibration of wealth, one must first cleanse the mind of old beliefs about money. Many have been raised with ideas such as money is the root of all evil, rich people are greedy, or it's hard to make a living. These beliefs act like static on a radio, interfering with the clear reception of abundance. It is essential to replace these limiting ideas with truths that support wealth consciousness, such as money is a tool for good, wealth allows me to serve and uplift others, and prosperity is my divine right. By internalizing these new beliefs, the mind begins to emit a signal that is compatible with financial success. But thoughts alone are not enough. Feelings are the amplifier. The emotional state you dwell in has tremendous power to either attract or repel money. Feelings of gratitude, joy, confidence, and peace elevate your vibration to the level where wealth naturally exists. When you feel grateful for the money you have, even if it is small, you create an energetic space for more to arrive. Gratitude signals to the universe that you recognize and appreciate the flow of supply, thereby inviting that flow to increase. Visualization is another potent tool for aligning with the vibration of wealth. When you vividly imagine yourself living in the prosperity you desire, seeing the home you wish to live in, experiencing the joy of financial freedom, envisioning the generosity you can extend to others, your subconscious mind begins to accept these images as reality. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences, it simply registers the emotional content attached to them. Therefore, the more you can feel the emotions of wealth in your visualization, the more you condition your mind to expect and attract financial abundance. It is also important to align your actions with the vibration of wealth. This does not mean spending recklessly or pretending to be rich in superficial ways, but rather carrying yourself with the confidence and assurance of someone who knows that their supply is unlimited. This could mean dressing well within your means, speaking about opportunities rather than obstacles, and engaging in activities that reflect self-worth and abundance. Acting as though wealth is already yours sets a powerful tone that the universe recognizes and supports. Additionally, one must be mindful of the company they keep and the conversations they engage in. Surrounding yourself with people who speak positively about success, who believe in possibilities, and who themselves embody abundance, helps to reinforce your own wealth vibration. Negative discussions about money, habitual complaining, or immersion in scarcity thinking can quickly lower your frequency and disrupt the attraction process. Ultimately, to align with the vibration of wealth is to become wealth in consciousness first. When you think richly, feel abundantly, and live confidently, money is no longer a distant hope, but a natural outcome. The universe cannot help but mirror back to you the energy you consistently broadcast. Thus, the key to attracting wealth is not to chase it, but to become a living, breathing expression of prosperity itself, knowing that the law of vibration will inevitably bring the outer experience to match the inner state. Fear, doubt, and resentment are among the most powerful barriers to wealth, yet most people unknowingly carry these emotions within their minds and hearts, all while wondering why money eludes them. These mental and emotional blocks operate like invisible walls that prevent the flow of prosperity from entering one's life. The universe is an abundant and ever-giving source, ready to supply every need and desire, but it cannot override the energy of resistance that is formed when one dwells in fear of financial lack. doubts their ability to succeed, or harbors resentment against others who have achieved wealth. These states of mind create a frequency that is incompatible with abundance, and so the law of supply must respond not with riches, but with further scarcity. Fear, especially, is a paralyzing force that signals to the universe that one does not trust the process of supply. It is a declaration of separation from the infinite source. When a person fears not having enough, they are affirming, consciously or unconsciously, that they live in a world of limitation and deprivation. This fear tightens the channels through which money could flow. It creates tension in the mind and body, shutting down creativity, intuition, and the openness needed to recognize opportunities. The fearful person becomes preoccupied with survival, rather than growth, focusing on keeping what little they have, rather than expanding into greater prosperity. But money, being energy, cannot flow freely to a mind that is clenched with anxiety and apprehension. Fear literally repels the very thing one desires by aligning their vibration with loss rather than gain. Doubt works in much the same way. While fear is the emotion that anticipates loss, doubt is the voice that questions whether abundance is even possible. Doubt undermines faith, and faith is the bridge over which supply travels. A person who doubts their ability to attract money, or who doubts that the universe is abundant and supportive, is sending a mixed message to the creative law of the universe. One moment they may affirm wealth, but the next they quietly question whether such wealth is truly available to them. The law of mind requires clarity and consistency. It cannot fulfill a request that is constantly being revoked by inner uncertainty. Doubt fractures the mental image of prosperity, weakening the magnetic pull that draws wealth into one's experience. Resentment, though often overlooked, is another potent block to financial flow. Many people secretly resent those who are wealthy, seeing them as greedy, undeserving, or lucky. This resentment creates an inner contradiction. On one hand, they desire wealth for themselves, but on the other hand, they despise those who have it. The mind cannot fully embrace what it condemns. If you believe that wealth is tainted, corrupt, or shameful, even in subtle ways, you will subconsciously sabotage your own financial progress. The subconscious mind takes orders from the emotions you dwell upon most deeply. Harboring resentment against the rich tells your subconscious that wealth is undesirable, and so it will shield you from attaining it, believing that it is protecting you from becoming one of those people you criticize. Moreover, resentment often stems from a belief in limitation, the idea that there is not enough to go around, and that another person's gain must be your loss. But the truth is that the universe is limitless. One person's wealth does not diminish another's potential for abundance. To clear this block, one must practice rejoicing in the success of others, seeing their prosperity as evidence that wealth is possible and available for all, including oneself. Blessing others for their riches shifts the energy from resistance to receptivity. Clearing these mental and emotional blocks requires conscious effort and daily practice. It begins with awareness, recognizing when fear, doubt, or resentment arise, and refusing to entertain them further. Instead, these feelings must be replaced with affirmations of faith, confidence, and goodwill. Affirmations like, "I am open to the infinite supply of the universe. I trust the process of prosperity unfolding in my life, and I bless the wealth of others and celebrate the abundance that is mine to claim," help to retrain the mind to align with wealth. Additionally, cultivating feelings of gratitude is one of the most effective ways to dissolve these blocks. Gratitude shifts focus away from what is lacking and towards what is already present and possible. When you are thankful for the money you have, no matter how small, you align yourself with the energy of having rather than wanting. Gratitude has a high vibrational frequency that naturally attracts more to be grateful for, including financial blessings. Ultimately, fear, doubt, and resentment are signals of misalignment with the universal law of abundance. They must be identified, acknowledged, and transformed into faith, trust, and joy if one is to experience the full flow of wealth that life offers. By consciously choosing thoughts and emotions that support prosperity, the barriers dissolve, and the natural current of money can flow freely and generously into one's life. Imagination is the workshop of the mind, the sacred space where all creation begins. It is through the power of imagination that we form the blueprint for the life we wish to experience, and this includes wealth, abundance, and financial freedom. Everything that exists in the material world was first created in the invisible realm of thought. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the job you hold, All were once ideas, images conceived in someone's mind before becoming physical reality. Money is no different. To attract wealth, one must first see it, feel it, and claim it within the imagination. For the subconscious mind receives these images as instructions and works, along with the laws of the universe, to manifest them into form. Many people dismiss imagination as mere fantasy, a childish indulgence disconnected from reality. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. Imagination is the faculty by which we shape reality. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined when emotion is involved. When you imagine yourself wealthy, not in a detached or playful way but with genuine emotion, feeling the joy, security, and freedom that wealth brings, your subconscious begins to accept this image as your reality. Once accepted, the subconscious mind tirelessly works to bridge the gap between your present circumstances and the mental picture you have provided. This is why it is essential to consistently hold a clear, detailed, and emotionally charged vision of the prosperity you desire. If you wish to experience financial abundance, you must frequently visit this vision in your mind, as though you were living it now. See yourself holding the kind of wealth you desire, living in the home of your dreams, engaging in generous acts of charity, traveling freely, or supporting your loved ones without concern for money. As you do, allow yourself to feel the emotions that accompany these experiences, the pride, the gratitude, the peace of mind. These feelings energize the mental image, giving it the vitality needed to impress the subconscious. Most people, however, misuse their imagination. Instead of envisioning wealth, they rehearse scenarios of lack, failure, and struggle. They imagine bills piling up, opportunities slipping away, or accidents draining their finances. These negative visualizations are just as creative and powerful. They too act as blueprints, but for outcomes that are undesired. The mind, ever obedient, brings forth whatever images are most dominant, whether positive or negative. Therefore, it is critical to guard the imagination diligently, ensuring that it is employed constructively. The imagination must also be exercised with consistency. A single day of visualization, followed by weeks of worry and doubt, weakens the creative power of the mind. The image of wealth must be revisited daily, reinforced with faith and expectation. This is akin to watering a seed planted in fertile soil. Consistent care ensures that it grows strong and healthy. Neglect or contradictory thoughts, however, can stifle its growth or cause it to wither. Imagination also serves to clarify what one truly desires. Many people have vague wishes for more money, but they have not defined what that wealth looks like in their lives. The mind thrives on specificity. To declare simply, "I want to be rich," is not enough. The mind needs a picture, a narrative, a vivid sense of what that richness entails. Does it mean financial independence? Does it mean living in a peaceful countryside estate or a vibrant city penthouse? Does it involve owning a successful business or having ample investments? The clearer the vision, the more precise the subconscious mind's work becomes in guiding you toward it. When the imagination is aligned with faith and action, it activates synchronicities and unseen forces that assist in the manifestation process. Opportunities arise, ideas emerge, connections are made, not by coincidence, but because the mind, holding fast to the image of wealth, influences your perception and behavior to recognize and act upon these openings. The universe responds to a mind that knows what it wants and sees it clearly, consistently, and confidently. There is also a spiritual dimension to imagination. It connects us to the creative intelligence of the universe, often referred to as divine mind, which holds the patterns of all possibilities. By imagining wealth, you are not inventing something foreign to the universe, but tapping into the ever-present substance of abundance, calling it forth into your experience through the blueprint you provide. Therefore, imagination is not just a passive pastime, but an active, dynamic force. It is the architect of your financial future. The more vividly and passionately you imagine wealth, the more real it becomes to your subconscious, and the faster it begins to materialize. By mastering your imagination, you master your destiny, directing the unseen forces to construct the reality that matches the mental image you have dared to design and hold unwaveringly. Faith is the invisible bridge between desire and manifestation. When it comes to money and wealth, faith is the unseen substance that connects the idea of prosperity with its actualization in the physical world. Faith is not merely a passive hope or wish, it is a deep inner certainty that what you seek is already prepared for you in the invisible realm, waiting for you to align with it. Anxiety, on the other hand, is the great disruptor. It is the opposite of faith, a state of mind that broadcasts to the universe that you do not trust the law of supply, that you believe your good is uncertain, or that you fear it may be withheld from you. This doubt, this trembling sense of unease, sends out a vibrational message that attracts more situations to justify the anxiety. When a person operates from faith, their inner world is calm and expectant. They may not see the money in their hand yet, but they know that it is on the way, just as surely as the sun will rise tomorrow. This assurance aligns them with the vibration of wealth. They do not spend their time obsessing over where, when, or how the money will appear, because they trust that the universal law is already orchestrating the perfect channels through which supply will come. Their role is to hold steady, to continue acting, speaking and thinking from the consciousness of abundance. Anxiety, however, creates interference in this process. It is a mental noise that drowns out the quiet certainty of faith. When one feels anxious about money, the mind is consumed with scenarios of failure, insufficiency, and worst-case outcomes. This not only disturbs the emotional peace necessary for clear guidance, but also lowers one's vibration to the level of lack and scarcity. The law of attraction, being impartial, must then bring experiences that mirror this anxious state. The individual finds themselves stuck in cycles of delay, blocked opportunities, or financial setbacks, not because the universe has denied them, but because their anxious vibration has closed the door to the very abundance they desire. Faith, by contrast, is magnetic. It draws to the individual people, ideas and resources that match the certainty of their inner state. The person who walks in faith expects good things, speaks of wealth with confidence, and moves through life as though success is inevitable. This creates an aura of assurance that others sense and respond to positively. Opportunities seem to come naturally, and doors open because faith makes the individual an energetic match for prosperity. Faith also allows for inspired action. When you are rooted in trust, you are better able to perceive intuitive nudges, creative ideas, and unexpected solutions that guide you toward your financial goals. Anxiety clouds this perception. In an anxious state, the mind is too cluttered with fear to recognize the subtle guidance of the subconscious or the divine mind. Faith clears this fog, allowing insight and wisdom to flow freely. Faith eliminates the need for desperate striving. Many people mistakenly believe that acquiring wealth requires relentless effort, constant hustle, or a grinding pursuit. But when you move from a place of faith, your actions are purposeful, guided, and effective. You are not chasing money. Instead, you are allowing it to come to you through the paths that unfold naturally. This is not idleness, but a harmonious cooperation with the flow of universal supply. Faith also transforms the language we use about money. The faithful person does not speak of being broke, burdened by debt, or unable to afford their desires. Instead, their words reflect the reality they know is theirs, even if it has not yet appeared. They might say, "My wealth is unfolding perfectly," or "I always have what I need when I need it." These statements, born of faith, reinforce the vibration of abundance and instruct the subconscious to continue creating in alignment with that truth. It is important to cultivate faith daily, for the mind is easily swayed by appearances. The outer world may present situations that seem contrary to your desired wealth, but faith refuses to be shaken. It holds to the vision of prosperity with unwavering conviction, knowing that the law must deliver the form that matches the substance of belief. Faith is built through repeated affirmations, visualizations, and the constant remembrance that the universe is abundant, benevolent, and unfailing in its laws. Anxiety must be replaced by this calm assurance. Whenever anxious thoughts arise, they should be countered immediately with affirmations of trust. I release all fear about money. I am provided for abundantly. Over time, this practice reconditions the mind, shifting it from a habitual state of worry to a permanent dwelling in faith. And in that dwelling, wealth finds its home, not as a fleeting visitor, but as a constant, faithful companion. Right action is the natural outflow of a mind that is aligned with abundance. To think abundantly, to speak of wealth with confidence, and to feel richly blessed are all essential, but they must ultimately be expressed in how one moves and acts in the world. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the means by which thought takes form. acting with the confidence of one whose supply is already assured, is not simply a matter of pretending or playing a role, it is the demonstration of inner certainty. It is the visible sign that one truly believes in the law of supply and trusts that the universe is delivering all that has been claimed through thought and word. When a person acts with confidence, they no longer behave as someone in lack or limitation. They make decisions from a place of strength, not fear. They invest their time, energy, and even their money with the understanding that supply is infinite and that there is always more to come. This does not mean acting recklessly or spending foolishly, but rather making choices that reflect faith in abundance rather than fear of shortage. For example, when faced with an opportunity to expand a business, the confident individual proceeds with calm assurance, knowing that the resources needed will flow into place. They do not shrink back in hesitation or paralyze themselves with overthinking, because they are rooted in the understanding that right action, taken from a consciousness of prosperity, is always supported by the law of supply. Right action is also characterized by generosity. A person who believes their supply is assured is not stingy or overly cautious with their wealth. They give freely, whether it is money, time, or knowledge, because they understand that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. Generosity is an action that confirms one's belief in abundance. Every act of giving is a statement to the universe: I have more than enough, and I trust in the continual flow of good. This trust expressed through giving opens the channels wider for more to return. The law responds to generosity not with loss, but with increase, because the act of giving affirms that there is no end to supply. Acting confidently means taking steps toward one's goals, even when the complete picture is not yet visible. Faith-inspired action often requires moving forward without having every detail worked out, trusting that each step taken will reveal the next. The universe supports movement, it responds to momentum. The individual who waits passively for wealth to arrive without lifting a hand to participate in its unfolding is misunderstanding the law. The energy of money is dynamic, not static. By acting as though the outcome is certain, one aligns with that dynamic energy and becomes a conduit through which wealth can flow. This kind of action is not driven by desperation or struggle. It is not about working harder and harder out of fear that failure is looming. Instead, it is about moving with a sense of purpose, joy, and ease, knowing that each effort is supported by an invisible network of opportunities, connections, and resources that are magnetized by the consciousness of abundance. Every action taken in this spirit carries a creative power that extends beyond what can be seen or measured immediately. Acting with confidence also involves carrying oneself with the dignity and self-respect of someone who knows they are prosperous. This is reflected in how one dresses, speaks, and interacts with others. A person who views themselves as wealthy carries an air of assurance that is unmistakable. They expect respect, opportunities, and success because they already see themselves as deserving and aligned with those experiences. This self-image attracts corresponding conditions, for the universe mirrors back the way we perceive and treat ourselves. Right action also means saying yes to life. It means participating fully, engaging with enthusiasm, and not shrinking back from challenges or responsibilities. The confident person sees every experience, even obstacles, as part of the unfolding pathway to greater wealth. They trust that each action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger tapestry of their prosperity. They do not delay action waiting for perfect conditions, because they understand that conditions become perfect in response to committed action. In addition, right action includes maintaining order and discipline in one's affairs. Managing finances wisely, keeping commitments, and following through on promises are all demonstrations of a prosperous mind. Disorder, procrastination, and neglect signal to the subconscious that one is not prepared for greater wealth. By acting with integrity, clarity, and efficiency, one creates a stable foundation upon which more abundance can be built. To act as though your supply is already assured is to live from the end, embodying the state of wealth now, rather than waiting for the external proof. This is not about arrogance or pretense, but about congruence, making sure that thoughts, words, and deeds are all in alignment with the vibration of prosperity. When you live in this state, money, opportunities, and success are drawn to you, not as random gifts, but as the rightful harvest of your confident, aligned actions. The universe is governed by an impartial and unwavering law, a law that does not recognize personal preferences, favoritism, or special cases. It operates with perfect precision, reflecting back to each person the dominant thoughts, beliefs, and feelings they consistently hold. This impartiality is crucial to understand when it comes to the subject of money and wealth. The universe does not decide that one person deserves wealth while another does not, based on moral judgment, background, or social status. Instead, it responds to the vibration each person emits through their consciousness. In this way, the universe mirrors what is held within, whether that is abundance or lack, confidence or fear, certainty or doubt. Many people look at those who are wealthy and assume that life has favored them unfairly or that they were born under a lucky star. But the truth is that wealth comes as a direct response to the mental and emotional state one maintains about money. The person who has trained their mind to believe in prosperity, who expects good fortune, who speaks positively about financial growth, and who feels worthy of abundance, is aligned with the universal law of supply. The law has no choice but to respond accordingly because it is bound by its own nature to reflect the dominant consciousness of the individual. There are countless examples of people who have risen from poverty to wealth, from obscurity to influence, simply by shifting their mindset and inner beliefs about money. These individuals often share common traits. They see wealth as natural, they expect opportunities to come their way, and they maintain a sense of gratitude and readiness to receive. Their external circumstances may have started in limitation, but their internal landscape was rich with possibility, vision, and certainty. The universe, impartial as it is, responded not to their beginnings but to their mental and emotional state. On the other hand, someone may inherit wealth or stumble upon financial success, yet quickly lose it if their consciousness is not aligned with abundance. Without the inner foundation of wealth consciousness, money slips away, opportunities dry up, and financial instability returns. This is because the outer world must always conform to the inner pattern. The universe cannot sustain wealth for someone who holds beliefs of unworthiness, scarcity, or fear of loss. Therefore, the secret to maintaining and expanding wealth lies not in the amount of money one possesses at any given time, but in the consistent cultivation of a prosperity mindset. The law of the universe operates much like a mirror. It does not choose what to reflect. It simply reflects back what is presented to it. If you present thoughts of abundance, beliefs in endless supply, and feelings of joy and gratitude for wealth, the mirror reflects circumstances, people, and experiences that bring money into your life. If you present thoughts of lack, constant worry, and resentment toward those who have money, the mirror reflects more situations that reinforce financial struggle. The law is consistent, reliable, and exact. It does not deviate based on personality, background, or worthiness, because it does not judge, it only reflects. This impartial nature of the universe is both a warning and a promise. It is a warning because it means that no one is exempt from the consequences of their thoughts and feelings. You cannot speak of lack, feel anxious about money, or harbor jealousy toward the wealthy without drawing similar vibrations into your experience. It is also a promise, because it assures us that anyone can change their financial reality by changing their inner state. No matter your current circumstances, you have the power to think differently, to believe in abundance, to speak wealth into existence, and to feel the joy of prosperity even before it appears in physical form. When you do, the universe must respond in kind, for it has no other choice. The impartiality of the universe also teaches us that there is no limit to the supply available to each person. Just because one person becomes wealthy does not mean there is less for others. The universe is infinite in its resources, and its abundance expands to meet the needs and desires of those who align with it. Therefore, there is no need for competition, envy, or resentment. Every individual creates their own experience based on the energy they project. Understanding this principle encourages personal responsibility. It invites us to stop blaming circumstances, other people, or fate for our financial conditions, and instead to look inward. What thoughts am I thinking? What feelings am I nurturing? What words am I speaking about money? The answers to these questions reveal why our financial life looks the way it does. The good news is that because the law is impartial, it can be influenced in any direction. By choosing to think, feel, and speak in alignment with wealth, we are shaping the law to reflect abundance back to us. The universe remains an ever-faithful servant to our consciousness. It simply returns to us in kind what we have projected, without bias, without prejudice, and without delay once the inner alignment is made firm. This is the great power and the great responsibility that each of us holds to become the deliberate creators of our financial destiny by harmonizing with the impartial and responsive law of the universe. Money is not random. It is governed by a precise, unwavering law that responds to the thoughts we think, the words we speak, the feelings we sustain, and the actions we take. Wealth is not a matter of chance or luck, but the inevitable outcome of aligning with the frequency of abundance. When we clear our minds of fear, doubt, and resentment, when we imagine prosperity vividly, speak confidently of wealth, act as though our supply is assured, and walk in unwavering faith, the universe must respond. It cannot do otherwise, for it is impartial, faithful, and exact. Therefore, claim your wealth boldly, hold to your vision steadfastly, and know that as surely as the sun rises, abundance will find its way to you, not by accident, but by the unfailing law.